Welcome back, folks, to Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt Doduro. And today, we always have a special guest, but you are a special guest because you came the farthest of any guest so far.
Breaking records.
Yes, Miss Caitlin Marie Wilson from Portland, Oregon, originally, but now you're in Vancouver, Washington.
Yes.
And why would I have you on? What is important about having Miss Caitlin?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here. I feel like maybe what it is that I do and who I am is a little unique.
She is a nationally renowned biohacker. And when it comes to it, the whole story about why we put this program together was to educate our listeners on how to get healthy, how to become your own health advocate. Mm-hmm. And so just share with us, you had a story before you built your clinic out there and work with naturopathic doctors and other medical people. Mm-hmm. You were sick. Tell us a little bit about that. What happened?
Well, backing the train up all the way into my teenage years, I had mono when I was 16 and followed by a second round of getting sick when I was 18. So
double mama.
Yeah.
Double mono.
Bad news. It was bad. And the second time around, and I never really healed from the first one. Second time hit me hard. And then doctors didn't really have an answer for me at the time. They tested me for all sorts of things for 2 weeks, and it was really scary. Turns out it was another form of mono, and I had to get through that. And that's what kind of like pushed me in. It didn't push me, but it inspired me to seek out alternative healing because that was what I needed at the time. And yeah, I've just been kind of on that journey ever since, and it completely changed my world around.
It's been beneficial.
Big time.
And that's really what pushed you into alternative health. Mm-hmm. And I was lucky enough to meet you and Edna Ness, your business partner, through the photo biomodulation program. Yeah. So that's low-level light therapy, what we use a lot. You're going to put that together so our listeners and viewers can see that pretty soon. And that's really exciting because that's been the core to what we do at our clinic. And you got to visit our clinic today. Mm-hmm. So at ATL Pain Institute, and our listeners who are here in Atlanta, they can visit it. But we really work with pain in alternative ways. Mm-hmm. And our main purpose over the last 10 years is working with chemo-induced peripheral neuropathy and diabetic and peripheral neuropathy. Right. So the low-level light therapy has been a big part of what we've used to help increase blood flow and decrease pain. Right. And so it's a big part of your clinic out in Vancouver, Washington. You've got some really cool stuff that you're going to show us today.
Yeah, I do. And
but really, I wanted to bring you on because you both are doing some wonderful things with hyperbaric oxygen treatment. Mm-hmm. And many of our listeners probably have never even heard of it. So can you give us a little background? What is
hyperbaric oxygen? Okay.
Yeah.
So, we started with light therapy. And then we got into hyperbaric oxygen because of my business partner who had chronic migraines for 30 years and learning that oxygen could be beneficial for her and getting, oxygen to the brain.
Is that important?
That's all it is. It's extremely important.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. In fact, our brain uses 20% of our oxygen supply in our body.
Wow.
So I think in hindsight, a lot of people don't realize how powerful oxygen is and the importance of it, and how it helps us create energy at the cellular level. So we got into hyperbaric oxygen, and what's cool about it is it has been around. It's one of the longest standing medical tools out there.
I did not know that. I was pretty impressed when you were
history
telling me.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back hundreds of years.
Yeah. I mean, the first documented case for anything medical related was back in 1662. So,
what?
Yeah.
You know, it was funny. They didn't even know oxygen existed back then.
Right. Oxygen wasn't even discovered.
We knew it was,
before hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Yeah. Wild, huh?
It is.
Yeah.
So 357 years in the making. The first engineered tank was done by a French engineer, correct?
Yes. So that was in the late 1800s or so. So it got really popular in Europe in the 1800s. And then following that, a French engineer really kind of put the foundations into place, and he actually started to figure out the physiological effects on the body and how it was working.
Right.
To help heal.
So your company and your clinic out there is Inlight Hyperbarics. So any of our listeners on the northwest coast of Portland and Washington can visit you. And you've got a wonderful facility. I'm going to be out there next month.
I know, we're really excited to have you.
I'm speaking. We're bringing the stem cell machine out to their community. And it was pretty cool. You got to see the stem cell machine in action today.
In action, yeah.
We had a patient, Shirley, who had cervical surgery 4 years ago, and she's lost the ability to use her right hand. And you actually filmed it, so you'll be posting it on your website. How can our listeners learn more about your clinic?
We have a website, inlightlife.com,
okay.
and inlighthyperbarics.com will take you to the same place. And we're all over social media. So we have a Facebook page that we're pretty active on, and Instagram, and that's Inlight Hyperbarics.
So I'm familiar with Hyperbaric for wound healing. What other indications are you see as positive for patients that
Absolutely. So we at Inlight, we actually have 3 mild hyperbaric chambers and 1 hard shell chamber, which gives us room to dose the different pressures and different levels of oxygen. And we have been working with mild hyperbaric for 5 years, and it has been incredible to see people get their life back. And the different indications, I would say about 90% of our clients are cancer-related right now.
Wow.
Big deal.
Yeah, so we know you go through cancer, the chemotherapy. We've had different patients on, my wife included, who had chemo-induced peripheral neuropathy, Miss Doris Adams, who was another one of our guests. Yeah. And it can wreak havoc on your body. I mean, it's killing every fast-acting, replicating cell in your body, which could be your hair, your nails, your sensory nerves.
Absolutely.
So these are patients who are trying to recover from
it's all over the
different
board,
treatments.
really. Yeah, so we have patients that are trying to seek the natural route, or they're going through chemo and radiation, or they're recovering from those therapies, and it is diminishing their side effects exponentially.
That's awesome.
Just by oxygenating the body.
And it really helps perfuse that oxygen-rich blood throughout the body. Can you tell us a little bit about that, or is that?
Yeah. So as far as oxygen, the magic is in the pressure. So it's all about taking you to a deeper pressure below sea level. The mild chambers are about 9 feet. So to give you an idea, super mild. And what it's doing is breathing in ambient air under pressure. It saturates your red blood cells, and it dissolves it into the plasma. So the plasma, which is the fluid part of the blood, is always traveling through the blood vessels, whether there's restriction or not. So we get restriction due to inflammation, disease, aging, any kind of injury, and that's what stops red blood cells from flowing. Therefore, oxygen becomes deprived in our tissues. So when you're breathing it under pressure and you're saturating your plasma, boom, you're getting oxygen to areas of the body that might be deficient.
You taught me a new term that was called blue toe syndrome.
That was fun, yeah.
And I have a lot of patients come in with blue toe.
But you didn't know it.
I didn't know there was a syndrome called, but now I'm going to diagnose a lot of patients with that. So blue toe syndrome is where the blood, oxygen-rich blood, is not getting into the distal tissue, and it becomes cyanotic, or the color blue. If you see someone who's not getting good oxygen, their lips will be blue.
Right.
And that's a key element of health and living.
Circulation.
That tissue.
Yeah.
So we have some wonderful pre and post pictures that we utilize to show how we can create new blood pathways and angiogenesis coming through there.
Right.
But it probably works. Hyperbaric is probably one of the best things for it. And so tell me what a typical treatment is like.
As far as hyperbaric oxygen?
Yes.
It is roughly 60 to 90 minutes.
Okay.
So it takes about 5 minutes to get under pressure, extremely mild, very easy. And in our chambers at Inlight, we also provide the light therapy. So while you're under pressure, you're also getting that extra circulation and energy through lights. And it's about an hour long, and it's beautiful, cozy place just to relax and heal.
I've done it a couple times. It's a very nice experience.
It forces you to take some downtime.
Yeah.
Which is another part
I
of
need
healing
that
too. Yeah.
I need that. So some other indications. I know carbon monoxide poisoning. I mean, we have it at our hospitals here in Atlanta.
Yeah. So the hospital grade hyperbaric chambers, there's like only 16 different indications where they will actually allow you in, and insurance will cover it, carbon monoxide being one. and a few others that are pretty severe. Kind of has to be life or death situations. And that's why, when we do it outside of that hospital setting, we treat a whole host of things. And it's all off-label. So everything that we do, there's tons of research studies going on, but we're still trying to push that. We're
going to talk in our next segment. You were just in South Carolina at a big symposium for hyperbaric oxygen. Some really exciting things happening in the veteran world.
Yep.
I love working with our military. I mean, we have to take care of them.
We have to take care of them.
They are our pride and joy of this country and keep us safe. So we'll talk a little bit about that, some of the laws that are changing in our next segment. I'm excited from the stem cell machine that we're just placing 2 devices in a military hospital in Texas, Beaumont Military, and soon a VA hospital in Texas, El Paso. So again, another reason for our veterans to have access to the finest healthcare devices out there.
Right.
And things that are efficient, that are alternative to drugs and medications and surgery. So that'll be exciting to get into and chat a little bit more. And then we'll also have Edna on our next segment.
Yeah, look forward to it.
It'll be good. And with that, we'll go to the next segment. Welcome back, folks, to Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt Doduro. And for our second segment, we have Dr. Scott Bertrand. Scott, wonderful to have you on.
Thanks, Matt, for inviting me.
Well, listen, I'm really excited not only to share what you've developed, but who you are with our listeners. And first off, you're a chiropractor, graduated
1984, ages ago, I think, right?
35 years.
Right. It's been that for a minute.
And you practiced right down in College Park for the majority of that time?
For most of that time, yeah. About a good 25 years of it, yeah.
But you're not only a chiropractor and a health expert, but you created something that's pretty wild, and I've utilized it in my clinic, and it's the All-Core 360.
Thank you.
And this is your baby. You brought it to light. You had a vision, and how many different prototypes before you got it? Tell me a little bit about.
Well, yeah, it started way back. Back in the 80s is when we really kind of came up with the original concept. And I damaged my back and my spine, so I had to kind of put something together for myself. And what I realized way back then was we were taking the core, and instead of treating it like a holistic unit, that's the way we really use it, we were taking it apart and doing abs over here and obliques over there. Totally wrong way to address the core. And once we looked at how we could probably improve that, we came up with the All-Core 360 technology.
And it's amazing. I mean, we have a big diabetic and neuropathy clinic. We see over 900 new patients a year in that clinic. And how many of my diabetic and neuropathy patients can run? Yeah, you did it. That's right. Samuel did it. He
did a
knows.
good job.
None of our diabetic and neuropathy patients can run, but they can all sit.
They can all sit.
And so tell us, we get them on there. I mean, it really, you have to focus on your core and your posture and stabilize. And it tilts back to certain degrees and then rotates clockwise and counterclockwise.
Right.
And you really can check the strength and stability of a patient with this as well. I mean,
it can be used diagnostically. Many people do. You can pick out an imbalance rapidly. In fact, the client or patient could point it out to you without you asking them.
So some of our Olympic athletes are at 0 degrees.
Yes, indeed.
And they do it. And it's hard. I mean, it's a great workout.
It takes an Olympic athlete almost to do it at 0 degrees, right?
I remember seeing a video of who's that great golfer?
Jordan Spieth. Maybe?
Jordan Spieth,
right? Incredible.
He was
golfer.
Cheating at 0. He couldn't handle 0.
Well, he did it better than most. But he's got a better golf swing than most. So
this is an amazing device. You have it at Shepherd Spine Center.
Shepherd Spinal Center actually was our very first purchaser. Was Shepherd Spinal Center,
wow.
Right? And when we got it with Shepherd, I realized right away that we all want to have good, strong cores, but in that population that has difficulty with using their lower extremity, it's very difficult for them to get a good core workout. And we were able to kind of take that and put them in a situation where they could progress.
Yeah,
it's been quite remarkable for them and us.
So, I mean, we've seen just an amazing change in our patients, both their posture and their balance. And so 60% of their balance comes from their feet. And if they lose that sensory nerves, they're not able to ambulate as well. And since being on this device, I have one guy, one of our patients, Mr. Thrash, and he literally was 6'3", and he would walk with a cane. And we'd get him on this. We actually have him on our video on our website, atlpaininstitute.com. And you watch him transform over about 3 sessions on this. When he stands up, you can't believe how tall he is.
Right.
And so we love it because a 10-minute workout is equivalent to...
Oh, gosh, a good hour workout. You know, what we've done contemporary up till now is we've taken the core, hundreds of muscles literally that make up the core. And when you think about it, the core really starts at your chin, and you sit on the bottom of it. It's not just the abs that you look in the mirror at. There are hundreds of muscles that are efficiently designed to stabilize your posture. If you don't work out all those muscles, you create imbalance. And unfortunately, the way we use it now, we'll go to the gym and we'll do sit-ups. Surely that affects the abs. We may try to do some oblique muscles. But in the big picture, we've got a muscle that does 360 degrees, and to think we could train it in 2 degrees was an insane concept to begin with. Yeah. It's an isometric muscle. When you think about what the core is, my belief, it was designed by God to move efficiently and gracefully through space against gravity. That's why we have a core. The other thing is it's armor. It's armor for this incredible organs and spinal cord that we have to protect. We can get by without arms and legs. We can't get by without all the things in here. The core actually should be called an organ. It works independently of all the other extremities. It's an impressive machine that we should honor and take care of.
And you're growing rapidly. You're in a lot of different colleges. Can you list some of the places?
We've been blessed there. We had some people did some early research on it, but Auburn's taken a look at it. We're currently at Clemson University's football program. I mean,
they're number one in the
country. For more than that. Yeah. We're at Georgia Tech, and for us in Georgia Tech, I mean, here's a school that epitomizes technology, and the fact that our technology is being utilized at their school, we're real proud of that, and they're doing great with it. Oklahoma State University, Arizona, we're out in some of the bigger schools. I think in the student body, all coaches out there want to take care of their players and make them better performers, but at the baseline, they have to protect those kids.
Right.
And, coaches in college cannot return those parents' children back home beat up. So if we don't take care of their spine, who's going to? And that's our job.
That's a great point. Yeah, one of the cool points, you've had that gentleman, the science guy from ESPN.
Oh, John Brenkus, the science guy, right, super guy.
He's done some great testing on it, right?
Yeah, he has. And what I really like about John will take a device and prove whether it really has value or not. Unfortunately, in the world of core training and ab training, not to literally point out products, but there's an ab wheel and an ab chair and an ab seat and an ab roller and an ab something. I mean, there's millions of them out there, and we all know about them. We all have them. We stick them under our bed or we hang clothes on them, but no one really uses them. So most of those pieces of equipment are shared with John, and John will look at these things and unfortunately give everybody the reality check that some of these things really aren't as good as they say. Well, I was blessed that when he came and saw ours and used ours, he walked away with that saying, it's brilliant. And when John Brenkus, science guy, ESPN science guy, says it's brilliant, you can hang your hat on that. We're really proud of that.
And I was thankful to have this in our clinic for the last year and a half, and it's done phenomenal for our patients, and I'm just so grateful that we were able to meet.
Oh, we're blessed to have, it's people like the thought leaders like you that have really introduced us into the market. It's such a unique concept. The more you talk about it, the more people have the opportunity to use it. But you can't look at it and really understand it. It requires the experience.
No, without a doubt.
So it takes a thought leader like yourself to say, listen, you forget about your sit-ups and leg lifts and crunches and all those things. When you think about it, I know you have and I have done literally millions of sit-ups. Did you ever wonder why in the real world you never did one? I've never been called upon to do a sit-up or a crunch in my life. So why am I so good at that? What I need to do is have a perfect isometric core, and that's what we train.
So one of the segments we did was about, ideal posture and technique. So we had 2 features on that, and how 97% of back pain is really a mechanical stress.
Without question.
So, in our body and gravity, as we get older, we start in this ideal position, and over trauma and years of gravity, we start moving forward. Yes. And everything is kind of going into a flex position. I think the really cool thing about the All-Core 360 is that it works all those muscles.
It does.
And it teaches us how to be in almost like extension.
It's an efficient posture. You can actually, in 10 minutes, get off the machine, and people can visibly notice an improvement in your posture. And when your posture improves, efficiency just means it takes less energy to maintain. So as you have a crunched up posture, by the end of the day, you're wore out just walking around. When your posture is efficient and balanced, at the end of the day, you can start another day.
Now let's think about it. Your heart, your lungs, you have so much space. As you flex forward, you're compressing all that.
Without question.
And so
there's some valuable things in there.
Yeah, exactly. So, straighten up, America. And
Isn't that the truth?
Atlanta,
Right.
I mean, we have a very sick community. People are sitting in their cars, driving to work. They're sitting at home watching TV. I think this is one of the few technologies that I've seen that it actually engages the body and the core and really starts strengthening. And you know where your weaknesses are. When you're making that rotation,
Absolutely.
you can feel it, muscles that you've never used before.
Absolutely.
And
I mean,
to
have control over those muscles. At the end of the day, being able to control the core in a 360-degree fashion, the way it was designed to perform, makes every activity that you do, the daily activities, you're sitting, you're standing, you're walking, you're vacuuming, whatever you do every day. The professional athletes, of course, have performance enhancements happening. That's great. Rehab and spinal cord injury, of course. But just the rest of us, everybody needs a good posture. It's what we're designed to have.
Without a doubt. So how do our listeners reach out, or doctors, that a lot of doctors are watching our podcast and listening to it? How do they find you? And how do they find Allcore 360?
Well, go to the website. It's www.allcore360.com. We have a lot of our providers and a lot of locations where you can demonstrate and see how to actually use the device. It almost does require an experience, so we'll invite you down to one of our locations and get an opportunity to use it. For the listeners, you can go to the website and there'll be locations. You can actually set up a demo ride and go in and actually visit some of our providers and see how your experience is. I think you'll find in 10 minutes that you'll know when you get off it after one ride what you need to do and what you should do. And we invite all of you to come out and give it a try.
Without a doubt. And I'll say we also offer at our clinic 3 free rides. For any of our listeners that contact us and said, hey, we heard about Allcore on your radio show, they'll come in, they'll get 3 spins to really experience what it's like.
And you almost need that. You need a couple to do. And I'll say this too, for the listeners out there. Not only does it take care of, like I said, the average of folks out here, but we really want to concentrate on that population that doesn't have the abilities that we have. All of us know people that are in situations that could use some additional help. Bad hips, bad legs, no hips, no legs. We're obligated to take care of those people as a society and as people. So that's part of what we're doing here today. I know you've been doing it well, very well.
Well, listen, our body lives from motion. Our joints live from motion. If they're not getting that exercise and those stresses, they wear down.
Wear out.
And so this is what it's all about, is finding people and medical devices like what you've developed. And kudos to you for having this idea and this brainchild. I'm so excited to see where it goes. We're gonna next.
It's
in
been fun.
the military.
It's been really fun. Yes, looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll be in the military soon.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.